Today we're looking at who to choose from level 30. This is going to be the hardest one we've had in a lot of FIFAs because there are a lot of good cards this time. We're going to start off with Dendoncker. And of course, you're looking at the card going, well, not the greatest centre-back. In terms of statistics, looks very, very good. He's high, right-footed, 2-star skill move, 4-star weak foot. But imagine this card as our box-to-box centre-mid. And he can play centre-mid as his secondary position. So we're going to look at him more as a centre-mid rather than a centre-back, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But you can see here, not the greatest acceleration, very good sprint speed, great shot power, again, not the best finishing, but in terms of actual short pass, long pass, really good. Agility and balance definitely needs to be looked at for sure. Defensive awareness, stand tackle, slide tackle, header and accuracy, all very, very good. Stamina, strength, and aggression, also very good. Composure is fantastic for a midfielder, let alone a centre-back. Then we don't have many traits. Now let's go and have a look at a couple things. So if we were to look at centre-backs that are currently in the Premier League, as you can see here, we've got ourselves a very expensive Van Dijk, a Koulibaly that could possibly crash because of he's not in the World Cup anymore. Then we have gold Van Dijk, we have a new Laporte, Ricardo Carvalho, and obviously you have your gold cards and others. And there is our boy Dendoncker. If we were to compare him in terms of physical, he's very similar to Van Dijk and Koulibaly, who I think are the two best centre-backs in the Prem in terms of their special cards. Defensiveness, yes, he is lacking compared to the rest. Almost every single defender on this page has better defender than him, if not they do. But his passing is much better than any other centre-back, which if you consider if you like to play out the back or from the back, he's a great option. His pace is very similar. Of course, if we look at Gold Van Dijk in terms of acceleration, they are very similar in terms of that. 67 compared to 68. The same with Ake, who's obviously a World Cup card. I think this is possibly the best centre-back in the Prem, but it's something we'll talk about another day. Then we have Koulibaly, who's got probably the quickest acceleration out of the three. But now, if we were to look at him as a centre-mid or a CDM, we can see here there are very limited. There are some absolute amazing CDMs who are very, very expensive. Then we have an SBC card. Then we have a swaps token, an inform, a gold, and then another gold. So we're going to have to go to the next page. And then we have some more special cards. So you can see here the Prem is lacking big time in this sort of position. If we were to look at centre mid as well, who are more defensive, we have got ourselves the Dendoncker, who's very, very good, I will add. Then we have ourselves a showdown card, another path to glory, Kevin De Bruyne, who isn't really going to be a CDM, a really expensive Cancelo. Then we have a Thiago and a Zinchenko, who's an SBC, who's not out. And we have a Mateus Nunes, who's very, very similar to the card itself. But there's just something about Dendoncker. Do I think he's the best centre-back in the Prem? Definitely not. He is very, very good. But in terms of what the card actually offers as a centre-mid or a CDM, he is fantastic. If we were to look on Footbin, so on Footbin, with a Shadow Chem style, he becomes a 90 rated centre-back or an 88 rated CDM. Really sorts out that boost problem. Because he's lengthy on new gen, it means he'll get quicker over time as he's running. So the longer he runs for, the quicker he gets. This card is very, very interesting to me personally as a CDM or a defensive midfielder in general as a box-to-box defensive because of his passing so high with that defensive awareness and etc. His agility and balance sets him down to 6'2". But how many defenders do we know in the game that have that problem? And I think he is a fantastic choice as a centre-mid. If he was centre-mid from the start, people were saying this is the one to pick. Because he's a centre-back as a base, people are sort of overlooking him. I do think he's slightly underrated because of that. That being said, let's have a look at our second choice. Our second choice is going to be Andre Silva. 6'1", medium, not the best work rates for a striker. 4-star, which is very good. Portuguese as well, so he helps with objectives. Can only play striker as centre-forward, so he doesn't really offer much in terms of that. Fantastic finishing, shot power, really good composure and agility and balance for a player that is 6'1". Great header and accuracy, great stamina, really good acceleration and sprint speed for someone of that height. In terms of trait, just flair. So we were to look at this card compared to what other choices we have in the Bundesliga. As you can see, we've had quite a lot of similar cards. So we got this Schick, who was a road to the knockout. Very, very similar to Andre Silva. I believe on the market, he isn't crazy expensive. We'll pop him down. Becker came out as an SBC. Fulkrog was player of the month. Werner has a path to, or road to glory even, or road to the World Cup. Choupo-Moting was also an objective, and then he obviously had two choices of Becker. Smolarek is quite expensive, the same as Vola. And then we have Gomez, who is almost a carbon copy of Andre Silva and of the other striker, Schick. In terms of anybody else lower, we have got ourselves the Iranian striker and Tharum, who are all very, very similar So the problem I find with Bundesliga, especially with this sort of thing, is look how similar all these cards are. They're all around the same height, 6'3", 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", 6'4". So they're all very similar builds. They have similar statistics as well. How many are 4-star, 4-star, 3-star, 3-star? Obviously, Andre Silva, 4-star, 4-star. 4-star weak foot, 4-star weak foot, 4-star skill, 3. So they all are very similar cards. And if you have done Choupo-Moting, probably wouldn't go for Silva in myself. If you're looking for striker, if you not want to take him, Schick is only about 25,000 coins. And again, very, very similar. If we were to jump onto Footbit, the biggest problem with him is he is controlled. So if you're on new gen, you have to put an architect to make him lengthy, which is probably the best for this type of build. If you're on old gen, you are basically stuck with a clunky striker. So what I would recommend going for here is a hunter, just to boost up his pace, boost up his finishing. It makes him into a 91 striker. I do think this is probably the worst one out of the 3 for my personal opinion, especially what we've been offered from EA with terms of objectives and other special cards that you can see on your screen now. So it is something to really consider. So we are going to go look at our last one now, but before that, let's have a word from today's sponsor. Are you tired of playing sweat teams like this? Make sure you go to Alt Nice, select Foot 23 coins, choose which console and how many coins you'd like to buy, select your payment method, and don't forget to add code NANIC for 6% off on all orders. Which is going to be 87 Paredes. Again, very similar to Dendoncker if he was a CDM or centre mid. See, 4-star, 4-star, medium. Really good stats in terms of a CDM. Can play centre mid or CDM for chemistry. He definitely looks like a box-to-box or CDM. Good acceleration, sprint speed for a midfielder. Not the best finishing, as a big highlight there, but shot power, fantastic. Agility and balance isn't awful either. Great composure. Really good passing stats overall. 89-87 is massive. Also very good defending stats. His overall defending of 82 would be higher if his heading accuracy was also higher. In terms of trait, outside the foot shot, so it does mean he can do the Travellas, just takes a little bit more than normal. And everything else not too crazy. If we were to compare him to the rest of the midfielders we have in Serie A, and then this is where the problem lies, in my opinion. So, if you've managed to do all the SBCs and all the objectives that we got, we have Benessa as an SBC who is very similar to Paredes. Yes, he's got less shooting, but he will feel very, very similar. And this card only costs 25,000 coins. We have got ourselves a Brozovic, Path to Glory, who's going to get herself another upgrade as well. So you've got that to consider. Zambo is also a very good shout in that position. And then we have some gold cards like Tonali, who are very similar. If you look there, he's a bit quicker, a little bit less of shooting, a little bit less of passing, and obviously dribbling and defending, etc. But not too many, only 3 points here and there. Then we had Ampadu, who was an SBC, I believe, or in practice, I can't remember. Medel, who was a flashback. Then we were to look at centre mids. We have got maybe a similar problem here. Wijnaldum, who's only 80,000 coins, is one of the best midfielders I've ever used. If you've got a lot of coins, you've got yourself Marquisio as well. Barella in form, who's very, very similar. And this Rabiot card from the same team who offers you better links, who's out in this promo. So it is a very difficult choice this year, or this season in particular, as I mentioned. I personally think, out of the 3 cards, I think Dendoncker is the one to go for. He just offers you a lot more in terms of objectives. If you need a better defender, then go for him as well. It's just really what you need for your team. I was completely set on getting Paredes when it first came out. My team has now changed since then, making it a much harder choice for me. I still are on the fence and determine which one to go for. I really don't know who I really want out of the team, which is a little bit annoying, but it's a nice problem to have. Normally, I see them and go, right, I want to have this card straight away. For example, level 15, if you've not seen that videos on the channel, I instantly knew who to go for. So these are the 3 choices, as you can see on your screen now. The 3 choices to go for. Let me know in the comment section who you're going to go for. I am personally tied between Dendoncker and Paredes. I think Andre Silva is a no for sure, just because of what we have available. These 2 are very similar. If not, they're fodder. So let me know what you're going to go for. If you have any questions, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, consider that like button, subscribing. Catch you in the next one.